As the title and thumbnail suggest, this ProTrek has a minimalistic vibe to it. It has all the features a standard ProTrek must have and a feature which normal ProTreks don't have. And the best part is, it's 30% off right now. If you don't grab it now, you can never. The unboxing experience of this ProTrek is similar to any other ProTrek we've seen so far. They have not made any changes to the packaging. Instead of that, I'm going to go to the specs of this watch. And please to watch the video till the end, it's worth it. The ProTrek PRW-35 is a watch which is designed for outdoor enthusiasts. People who like to trek, hitchhike or love nature are specifically drawn to this watch. When you measure the dimensions of this watch, it has a case size of 35.3mm if you include the buttons and 31mm if you don't include them. It has a lug width of 17.4mm and a lug to lug width of 37.3mm. A thickness of 10.1mm and it weighs 45 grams. The Casio website has given you a different measurement which is not close to what we measured. So other than that, it has a few exciting features like triple sensor, tough solar and multiband 6. I'll get back to the multiband 6 later. It has a high contrast super twisted pneumatic LCD which gives you excellent readability in almost all light conditions. Has a water resistance of 100 meters and has low temperature resistance up to -10 degrees centigrade. Other than that, it has features like sunrise and sunset, stopwatch, 1/10 of a second timer, 5 alarms and a super illuminator. The design choice of this watch was mainly for outdoor enthusiasts. Casio had that clearly in the mind and they had delivered it also in this watch. So the DNA of this watch is basic ProTrek, but the design is little bit different from the modern ProTreks we've seen so far. You have a stainless steel compass bezel which doesn't rotate, it's just for reference. The triple sensor buttons on the right side of the watch and they have a unique pattern to it like we've seen some of Mudmasters before, but never in a ProTrek. So it has this solid stainless steel vibe to it with a pattern on top of each dial. It is quite unique to this watch and it gives more premium feel to it. On the right, if you look, you have two buttons which is basically the adjust and the mode buttons. So they're in the same color and you have a dedicated light switch also in this watch which is, you can't see it very clearly but it's still there and it's very minimalistic also, you cannot press it unknowingly. And if you see, the display area is quite large in this watch and the outer bezel has a degrees or seconds counter to be precise, and there's also the 1/10 of a second counter and the battery indicator and the ProTrek logo at the 12 o'clock position. And you have this RC indicator which is the multiband 6 indicator at around the 11 o'clock position. So I'll get back to that later. So the display area is really good in this watch and you can clearly see the time, seconds and the date. I feel like they've not skimped out on the quality of this watch, but it is made up of a urethane resin, so it's quite comfortable as well. You have quick release strap in this watch also, which has been a comeback Casio for past few years. The illumination of this watch does not disappoint. It has a super illuminator like the white super LED which you've seen in recent Casio so far. So this one lights up the whole screen. It has two LEDs on the left side of the watch which is around the 9 o'clock position. It looks dimmer than the usual ProTreks. Maybe it's because of the display. Here are a few things which I really like about this watch. First of all, the design. Design of this watch is so minimal that the only priority for you is to look at the time and as well as use the other functions of this watch. When you compare it to the other ProTreks, sometimes you might feel overwhelmed by the design being a huge ProTrek. But this one is just straight to the point and made for outdoor enthusiasts. It needs to be light and strong, so it delivers everything. The watch is super comfortable when you wear it and it doesn't feel like you're skimping out or anything. I was afraid that you might get more scratches on this watch compared to other ProTreks. If you look at the other ProTreks, they would have a gap between the display and the case so that it'll give extra protection for the watch. But this one has done the same, but it's more compact. If you look at the watch from an angle, you can see that there is a gap between the case and the display, so you're protected in that way. I wouldn't say there are a lot of cons in this watch, but one thing which is quite misleading is support of multiband 6. This watch offers multiband 6. Many other watches in Casio does that as well. So the problem with multiband 6 in India is that it doesn't support multiband. Multiband 6 is sent in only few regions around the world: Tokyo, UK, Germany, USA, and it is limited to certain areas in those countries as well. What basically happens when you're advertising this watch as a multiband 6 is that if you don't have the radio signal over there, it works as a normal watch. So unless you travel to another country which has has multiband 6, this watch will change its time. Otherwise, it will still work as a normal watch, like a normal analog watch where you have to change the time. So that is quite misleading. And the other watches which have multiband 6 support right now, how that works is that it has Bluetooth connectivity linked with the multiband 6 in most of the models. So what happens is, using the Bluetooth connectivity, it uses the data from your phone and changes the time automatically. So then also multiband 6 is something which is not useful in our country. So if you take the multiband 6 out of this watch, this basically becomes a normal protract. That was the only misleading thing I felt with this watch. When you're talking about the price of this watch, original price of this watch is 15,995, which is not a very bad price, but right now it's 30% off and it comes to nearly 11,197 if you're looking at this colorway, which is the beige, and you have 30% off in almost all the colorways in the PRW-35 except for the latest black version, which is on full price. Now is the time to grab one if you're planning to buy this minimalist and outdoor friendly PRW-35. Before I answer that question, I've already mentioned the pros and cons of this watch. The good news about this watch is it is perfect for slim wrist people as well as women. So it is more of a unisex watch and it appeals to both genders and it gives you more versatility when you're wearing this watch. Slim wrist people don't need to worry. They want a protract but they want something small. This is the protract for them. And even though in my 6.5 inches wrist, this watch wears perfectly. So I don't feel like it's a small watch. The dimensions are small but it wears properly in almost all wrist sizes. So that's the really great advantage about this watch. And multiband 6 being misleading is quite not right, but still for this price point of 30% off, because I bought this watch last season, I've been using this watch since then. This and blue was the only colorway which had 30% off at that time, but now you have an array of colors to choose from which are all 30% off, which is actually a great deal when it comes to this watch. You get it below 12,000 rupees, so which is great for a protract. So it's the time for you to get one before it gets sold out. So you can definitely buy this watch if you want a protract which is not the standard DNA but has all the features a protract must need. So these are my honest thoughts on the Casio PRW-35. You can try to buy one of these if you're interested before it gets sold out. And if you haven't seen my previous video about the Timex Falcon Eye, you can check it out here, and playlist of all the watch videos I've made over here. I'll see you next with another exciting video. Until then, peace out.